Alright, so that wasn't too exciting, I know, for a fact. So I thought it would be kind of interesting to do a time lapse of the building the wall here that surrounds the innards of our base. But we ran into a lot of issues, a lot of problems as we were building it, and it's way too big and it's gonna take forever. So honestly, I did put myself into creative mode, built the wall, added a pipe, did some outer designing a little bit, which is just these half bars or beams, half slope beams, which is about all I can do because it's going to take me forever to process this wall traditionally. So if you saw in the time lapse, I tried to do it with an extended piston with welders against the wall, but I couldn't find a way to constantly move it and extend it. When I tried to extend it, the pistons broke, exploded in the back. So I picked up the drill ship and started welding the rest of it up, which was okay at first, but then it kind of clanged out and started rotating on its own. So that's what happened in that time lapse there. But since we're talking about it, let's jump back to a couple of episodes prior to see what we were doing previously. All right, so since today's episode is not as interesting, I thought I'd add in the talking points to it. So the first thing we did, I think episode 17, was to create a drone system so we could collect stone or maybe potentially look for uranium in the asteroids and things like that. So I built this antenna tower with this antenna here. Originally, I was playing around with a laser antenna. What I really wanted to do was put a laser antenna here that connects to another laser antenna in space. And in space, I would have an antenna so that it could connect to the drone ship in space and I will be able to control it. I remember testing that out at one point. It worked fine, but for some reason it didn't work well this time around. So that was unfortunate. So then, honestly, just the antenna was more than enough to bring a drone into space with me controlling it and then bringing it back. And we did also try to bring it in space and bring the drill ship back, which it does work out okay, but if you use 100% thrusting power from the ship, having it come back, it expends all of the hydrogen pretty much, or tries to. So it's a little dangerous to send it to the asteroid and send it back in that case. So the idea was to send it to the asteroid, manually drill the asteroid using remote controlling, and then tell it to autopilot back here. I believe it was somewhat successful, but a lot of the hydrogen was gone. I remember landing this guy with probably 5% hydrogen left, which was a bit rough. So the idea there, again, was to get stone. For what? Honestly, I was trying to grab stone for some gravel, because I completely thought that bullets needed gravel, but it doesn't. So it actually is supposed to be... Gravel would have been for reactors, if anything, that uses gravel. Reactor components, at least, not the bullets itself. So magazines, bullets, ammo, none of that needs gravel. It just needs magnesium, right? So that's what that was. Or if I use this mod, the painting mod, I use gravel as well. That was completely wrong on that piece. So there was no need to grab gravel, so I gave up on that droning system piece. So that antenna array just pointless, not necessary anymore whatsoever. And then we moved on to printing drones, or printing ships at least. So this here was my basic kind of printing system with a small grid projector, printing, our small grid ships right over here, and also ultimately the iron thruster drone. So the iron thruster drone, basically a whole bunch of iron thrusters, because there's a little bit of gravity here in Europa, so it needed a ton of ion thrusters. Wasn't expecting it to be this much, but yeah, this was a ton. But yeah, it's a drone mainly for a Gatling turret, so it can fly around the base and protect us. So we do have one kind of patrolling right there without camera person. So it is droning and patrolling the area, and it'll eventually shoot anything that flies next to it, at least 600 800 meters distance. I don't think it has ammo, to be honest, but we did collect some magnesium to get some ammo, if it doesn't have ammo, if I remember correctly. So this thing is useful for printing those ships. or any of these ships, mostly for the drone or for my multi-tool ship here. But it prints without the subgrid pieces right here, so we can always add additional subgrid pieces there if we needed to. But it does print it, but it does print without hydrogen, of course. So that's why we created this little arm or connector piece, so we can lift up, connect to the bottom, because most of our ships are bottom connected anyways, so that was perfect for that to connect to any of the ships we make, basically. So those are the last few things that we've done. Again, the wall, I thought it was going to be more exciting, but when I went through it again, not so much. So, and it's going to take forever, so I'm going to go creative for that. And pretty much the only thing left to do, or the initial idea left to do, is to create a little bit of a wall system here, or a door system here, and then create a big hole around the whole entire wall, so we have like a moat system around the walls. But honestly, I don't think that's going to be very interesting, so I'm going to skip a lot of that. I think this series is going to end in 1 or 2 more episodes, and I likely will do it all in creative. The point of the series was to see if we could survive in Europa without any issues. It was a struggle in the very beginning, which was extremely fun, but now we get to the point where we have everything we need. We can drill for almost every material that we can here, except for uranium at this point, or I haven't found it on the moon at least, but I don't think you'd find it. But either way, I don't have a need for uranium is another thing. But there's not much else to do, to be honest, in terms of necessities. So the rest is just designing out, or just running out of ideas in terms of what we need. Because it's just become, right now it's just become to the point where we just build stuff. And if I want to build something ridiculous, I don't necessarily need to do in this series. Other than that, there's a few things I wanted to do. One thing was to design the garage a bit, which I haven't really done too much of it. Not much I really care to do at this point, but we'll see how it goes. But I think this series is going to slow down a little bit, and I'm going to probably do a lot of it in creative. I know there's a lot of comments about how ugly this is. Yes, it is ugly, but the problem is if we did do a flat ramp, for an example, I think I'm still in creative, yep. Did a flat ramp, this happens. You see the little gap here? And you won't be able to climb up these gaps for the most part. So that's why it's kind of like that, or to have that ugly piece to it. But I mean, it looks better like this, to be honest. I mean, I could probably drill out the floor a little bit to make it even. That might be the better bet to do. But since the ground's not flat, that's what happens to the ramp, basically. So anything else, I was planning to make some kind of basement, but then I thought about it, and it's like, there's no real point for a basement. We have all the space outside to do stuff. So that's why we had this bit of a drilling hole, not just to collect ice, but yeah. I can't really think of anything fun to do from here. If I wanted to make something crazy, like these ships, or this drilling truck or rig or whatever it is, I can do that separately and do maybe like a time-lapse building like we've done in previous videos as well, or maybe look for a new series to play around with. But honestly, I'm running out of ideas here. We survived Europa successfully. We did need stone in the beginning. We struggled. We found a way to not struggle, and now we're thriving in this planet or this moon. So maybe we move on to a different planet or a moon to survive. But honestly, this was probably the hardest, maybe the hardest one to start, potentially. And other planets I don't think will be much of a struggle, to be honest. It's because you can have stone very quickly. So honestly, I do have some other ideas for different series, so that's coming up. Probably we'll announce it sooner or later. We do have Operation Penetration, our co-op series, still running. We're just running into issues with time to record with one another. We have, I'm thinking of a new series soon that's going to be a little more survival-ish and keep it more interesting that way. And also include maybe much more NPCs and things like that as well. And I want to continue to do some time-lapse as well, but it's going to be probably making crazy rigs and ships just for the fun factor of it. And of course, we have experiments that we constantly run in Space Engineers, so that is kind of slowing down and running out of ideas because I can't think of anything else to kind of nearly break my machine. But if you have ideas, again, drop a comment down below, and I'll investigate it and see how that works. Alright, so that is pretty much the update for this series and the channel itself. I want to thank you guys very much, especially because we hit 10,000 subscribers. So we do really appreciate taking the time to watch our videos and enjoying them, liking them, commenting, and subscribing. So thank you again. And of course, we're going to have more coming up in this year. So with that said, I want to thank you guys again, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye.